Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Collective Clicks podcast. This is your host, Brandon Bateman, and today I'm joined by Pete Reese. Pete is a friend and a client of mine that specializes specifically in land investing. So we talk a lot about what is land investing, how does it compare to single family houses, how has he grown his company a ton in the past few years and produced some pretty impressive numbers, and marketing, of course, for land. What are some of the advantages of direct mail versus pay-per-click marketing in that particular industry? I'll see you there. Pete, how you doing today?
I am doing great, Brandon. Good to be here.
Yes, I'm excited for you to be here as well. Nothing like a Friday afternoon podcast.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
Everybody's
Wrapping up the
favorite
week
time
well.
to
Yep.
exactly. I sometimes I wonder if anything does get done on Friday afternoons in most companies.
I don't think much.
Um,
Honestly, I don't think much. If it's anything like my own work habits on a Friday afternoon, they really, really fall off a cliff when it gets past lunch. It's like, might as well not even try at some point. No.
yeah, seriously, just move to a 4-day work week.
Yeah. Someday maybe.
Yeah.
Someday maybe.
Yeah. I am super excited to have you here. I think you have a super unique perspective to the podcast. But for those who could be listening that might not know you and your background and what you're doing, tell me more about you. Like what do you do now? What has your real estate journey been like?
Yeah. Well, my real estate journey has taken a long and winding road. I've been in real estate in some form or another since the early 2000s, when we bought our first home here in California, bought it with an FHA loan, 3.5% down, for about $200,000 and sold it about 2 years later. And sold it, I think we netted at about $50,000. And I thought I was a real estate mogul at that point because I had done some very shoddy improvements myself on the home that I thought were amazing. In hindsight, not so much. But anyhow, that kind of got me exposed to real estate and maybe the power of it a little bit. And we actually started buying some homes and flipping them at that point in the early 2000s. It wasn't as mainstream as it is today, but there were still shows on HGTV and everything, just not as much information about out there, how to do it right. So we did pretty well with that until the market crashed in about 2008. Slightly before that, got my broker's license out here in California just to get more access to deals. I was buying everything on market through the MLS. And I figured, well, I can show myself the homes. I can write my own offers. I thought that would be great. But not long after that, the market crashed. And then it was like, well, flipping homes really isn't the best thing to be in right now. Buying homes would have been the best thing to do right then, but I needed to earn income. So I actually started representing banks on their bank-owned properties. So I became an REO broker and just took it from that side of things, not even in the investing world. I mean, in hindsight, I should have been buying everything I could or find a way to do it, but there really wasn't, there weren't a lot of people out there with a lot of excess cash at that point, it seemed like. So, then anyhow, I did that for a number of years, worked, on the REO side of things. Started working with a lot of investment companies that were buying and flipping homes and also buying to fold them as rentals. So just finding deals. It was very easy for me because I understood what they were looking for. I had access to deals that they didn't, and so it worked out pretty well. I got a little sidetracked into business with my wife, on, education business related to blogging and travel blogging. So we did a bunch of traveling as a family for quite some time. That was a really fun business and everything, but I got that itch to get back into real estate investing, stumbled on land investing. I didn't really want to, get back into home flipping because for me, it was just a little bit too cumbersome. There were just so many moving pieces involved. So I was kind of looking for something else to get involved with. And I stumbled into land investing and, I just kind of went down the rabbit hole. This is in end of 2020, where I just identified, I was like, oh, this kind of matches with what I feel like I'm good at. And then 2021, we did our first land flip. It was March of 2021. Did about $1.2 million in revenue that year at about 50% gross profit margin. And then 2022 did about 3.4 and some change at a little over 40% gross profit margin. And then 2023 did 8.2 million at about 40%. And then we're trying to do 20 million this year, just buying and selling land. So that's what I do now.
Wow, that's wild. Yeah, those are impressive numbers for the land in space. You're super like nonchalant about everything. Yeah, I just buy some houses, buy some land.
Easy. Just buying and selling stuff for me. So
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's super cool. I didn't know a lot about that from your journey. Obviously, most of the people that we have listening to this, know the real estate space and maybe a little bit less the land space. So I'm super curious to hear. Like, let's just say I came to you right now, and I fully expect a biased answer. And I asked you, should I get into some type of real estate acquisitions company, be it like wholesale or flip or whatever you want to call it, for houses right now or for land? What would you say?
well, like you said, I am pretty biased. I'm in the, I know all the different investment models, and I choose to do land because, frankly, it's the easiest. It's very easy in some ways. I mean, there's a lot of challenges, a lot of nuance and things like that, but there's things that you don't have to deal with that you do have to deal with if you're dealing with houses. First of all, there's not a lot of occupants or tenants or, you know, evictions or any of that kind of stuff when we're talking about land. I mean, every once in a while you'll have a squatter on the property you may have to deal with, but so it's very easy from that perspective. Even simple stuff like arranging a time to go see the property. You just go, tell them you're going to go, and you just go. You don't have to coordinate any of this stuff. The thing that always challenged me, and I know there's people a lot better at this than me, was the construction side of things, getting getting everything coordinated with the contractors, running into unknown issues. You try to determine all those things when you're doing a land purchase, or try to determine all those things up front. So you don't have, it's not like you're opening a wall and finding out something after you bought the property. So those things always seem to come up when I was flipping homes. And so I didn't really enjoy that aspect. While there's competition in land investing, there's also a lot of opportunity. I don't think it's nearly as competitive as the single family home market for sure. So, so for those reasons, and the profit margins are great. A lot of times, our goal is always to double our money on our deals. Now we fall short on that kind of as an average. If we're doubling our money on our deals, that would be a 50% gross profit margin, but we pretty much average at scale been about 40% gross profit. So we're still making a really good chunk, a really good return on investment on our money, and we're trying to move on from these properties on average every 90 days. So that starts to accelerate really quickly if you're able to get that kind of return on your money that quickly.
Yeah, that's wild. Let's talk. I mean, obviously, my passion is marketing. Love marketing. I know you do too.
Yeah.
Let's talk marketing for land. What's it like compared to houses?
Yeah. So are you talking on the acquisition side? Yeah. So we use two methods at this point. Obviously, we're working with you on the pay-per-click side of things. We also use direct mail. So we send out actual offer letters to landowners. So we pull lists of landowners that have a certain criteria of land that they own in areas that we like. And we just send them out offer letters based off of average pricing in a particular area. Now those offer letters are kind of end up being just sort of kind of the first shot over the bow to see if we can get them to call back and see if there's interest there. Sometimes we're right on those offer values. Sometimes it's off, either too high or too low. But when they call, when they contact us back, then we're able to kind of fine tune that and see if we can come up with a deal. So that's primarily our marketing side of things. We're doing a lot of direct mail and we're doing the pay-per-click advertising with you.
Mm-hmm. As I understand it, direct mail is like the staple for land. Most land investors seem to be doing direct mail. It's like the classic. It's kind of how it was for houses for a little bit until things started to get really competitive.
Yeah.
Nowadays, direct mail is not near as easy as it once was for houses, at least. I'm curious from your standpoint, what are the benefits to like that tried and true channel everybody loves versus PPC being a little bit more experimental?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to me because we can define the type of properties that we want in the areas that we want. So for instance, we buy and sell properties all over the country. So that's one thing you can do with land that's a little tougher to do with single family homes for sure. But it allows us to target particular areas that we really like, where we know that land sells fast, where we've got a good infrastructure, a good team, maybe a good broker, a good title company, all that kind of stuff. So it allows us to focus on properties in those particular areas. We like to buy a lot of the larger rural type properties, 10 acres plus. So we're able to kind of target, those specific types of properties. Obviously, we can filter our list by all kinds of things like absentee owners or maybe tax delinquent or things like that. We don't do a lot of filtering. We just kind of, we send out, we're more of a shotgun approach with my mail strategy, at least. So we send out a lot of mail and, get kind of random, who the sellers are, but overall the numbers work out. Well, on average, we're probably averaging with the direct mail about $3,500 in mail costs per deal. And on average, last year we did our average gross profit per deal was about 30,000. So I mean, it's a really good return on ad spend, or ROAS, I guess you could say, on that. So pay-per-click is different. It's the motivation is there for sure. Like, these are motivated sellers. It's just the property type is random, so we get properties from all over the country in random spots. And like today, we're advertising for land, and we got someone that wants to sell a school that they had bought that they're in the middle of renovating, so we get like all kinds of random stuff like that too, even though we're, putting out ads for land. So you never know what's going to show up. So
Yeah, the school. That's
yeah,
they
school
probably search for
yeah.
interesting. They probably search for people who buy schools and shorts. They haven't brought in the search.
Sell my school for cash. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah.
yeah,
If nobody has already, you should go snag that domain.
yeah.
We're never doing that.
It's crazy because looking on the satellite images, I'm like, oh my God, I always thought it'd be cool to buy one of those old schools and redo it. I know there's a lot involved with it, but I'm looking on the satellite images. It's in a great spot. It's like right near a big shopping mall, and there's a huge football field there still, and like all this stuff. So I'm like, what would you do with that? I don't know.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea where you. That's crazy. Yeah, and I also, as I understand it, like I said, direct mail you've been doing for a long time. PPC were, I don't know, 5-6 months in.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact time frame, but pretty close to there. So it's my understanding that you guys have also learned some things internally about how you need to change your processes and your systems to deal with a different kind of lead.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something the big thing was the speed to lead. We weren't putting as much emphasis on that with our direct mail, because a lot of times the direct mail, it's crazy. They'll either call into our call answering service, and sometimes they'll just send back the signed offer in the mail. So obviously there's a big lag time, and the speed to lead is not as important because they don't, they're obviously not in a hurry. So there's a lot of older people that maybe are not, texting and stuff like that. But with the leads from the pay-per-click, those people are online, obviously. And the sooner you can get them a response, the quicker, the higher likelihood that you're actually going to be able to convert that to a potential deal, because I think what happens if you don't respond right away, then they're like, well, I'll just go, reach out to another investor, and fill out their form, but so we learned internally that it makes a huge difference for us to put some speed to lead stuff in place, basically an AI chatbot that drums up a conversation as soon as the lead comes into our CRM. So lead comes into our CRM, and basically we've trained our chatbot to qualify the lead. Basically, we're trying to understand what their property is about, make a connection, and just get the conversation going, make it seem like we're interested, and then potentially book an appointment with one of my acquisition managers on my team. So So yeah, that's made a huge difference though, because when we didn't have that in place, we're not able to get in touch with a lot of these people, or again, they come in as a lead, and then, my acquisition managers may be busy. And then by the time they call them a couple hours later or something like that, they can't even get a hold of them anymore. But with an instant text that they get from my AI chatbot, then it's basically, making that connection right away. So, and then the next step of that, which we're working on, is the AI voice stuff. So actually having AI assistant give them a call and qualify them that way. So the new voices and everything that they're coming out with are just amazing. So in not too long, we'll have that implemented as well.
Yeah, it's close. I mean, it's not perfect, but neither are humans.
Yeah.
So have to get that's
A lot
better.
of humans from our call center that we use are, need a little bit more training.
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. That's really fascinating. How did you guys go about building that?
It's all built on the high level platform, if you're familiar with high level. So
Mhm.
what's interesting about it is that there's infinite ways that you can customize the platform to whatever business that you're running. So we took everything that we were doing basically over the last 2 years, kind of customized it for all of our own purposes, and kept building on stuff. And I kept hiring a bunch of people to build more stuff and make it more refined for what we do in the land investing space. So we build out all of our processes, not just on the acquisition side, but, marketing, value add, the transaction on the buy side, transaction on the resale side, due diligence, all this stuff is all automated and built into the system, which is cool. And then we also offer it to our students as well. So with AI chatbot and everything like that. So it's been really cool, but it's turned into something impressive because I know exactly what we need, because we're actually using it in our business every single day. We've been refining it for a couple of years now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, you and I were talking about the other day, like by the time you can get the voice AI figured out and with the text AI, um, and automate your marketing, it's almost like there's there's like so little left.
I know. I
It's
know.
crazy because I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I was telling him how, in my opinion, this is, it's basically a marketing and sales business. That's it. There's not much in terms of operations. Um, and they disagreed with me. They said it's only a sales business. Because you can outsource marketing. Sales is the only thing you can't outsource. And I thought, well, that's a great point. I think that's true, but not true anymore soon.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, and you got to think, like, we're at a certain spot right now with the technology. It's only going to get infinitely better over the coming years. It's like an accelerating pace, and things are changing rapidly. And there's limitations with some of the technology right now, but in no time those are going to be gone. So,
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense. It's easy to say why it's not gonna work right now, but
yeah,
I think it's hard to say why it wouldn't in 10 years
right.
or
Yeah,
in 5 years.
yeah.
So that's super cool. Um, and I mean, you mentioned your students. I don't think we've even talked about your real estate. Do you call it coaching? Like what do you call this, this education side of your business where you work with students?
Yeah, so basically, I've got a community that I started building almost a couple years ago now, a year and a half ago, a little over a year and a half ago, on the school platform. You're familiar with that, SKOOL.
Yeah.
But this community is called Land Conquest, and basically in there, just offer a bunch of free training. Um, just did a Zoom call yesterday with the community, and basically it's 2 hours of me. I just share my screen on my laptop, evaluate pieces of land as they come in. The students submit their piece of land that they've got under contract to buy, and I just look through it, check comps, and kind of discuss what I think it's worth, what they could resell it for. So we've been doing that the whole time. And there's, I've got a bunch of free training and everything that I offer, but then I also have a paid thing for students that are looking for more sort of individualized support and everything like that. And I do a weekly Q&A call with that community, and then we also provide our we call it the land conquest business system, but it's essentially it's a software all around our business, which allows them to just plug their business right into and then not have to recreate all the stuff that we had to do over the past 2 years. So we've got that for them and stuff like that. So it's been really kind of fun thing. And the other thing I've got as part of that too is I call it Partner with Pete, partnerwithpete.com. And essentially, students can bring their deals. You know, they get a deal under contract, and they submit it at that site, Partner with Pete. And if it's a deal, you know, like if I look at it and say, oh yeah, this is a deal, I'll agree to fund the deal for them. So basically, I use my money to purchase the piece of land, and then and then I plug it into my team's processes and everything, and we do all the due diligence, we do all the value add. If we need to do brush clearing or a survey or a perk test or a lot split, any of that kind of stuff, we take care of all that. And then when we resell the property, we just split the profits 50-50. So it kind of removes that bottleneck in land because there aren't a lot of hard money lenders out there for just land. So it allows my students to kind of focus just on getting the deal. I'll worry about the money stuff and all the due diligence and everything that goes along with buying land. And then, you know, they get just after they get the deal, they just get to sit back and we'll take care of the rest. And then we split the profits. So we've had some stints. I had one student that brought us a deal. They ended up getting a wire for 180,000 for their portion of the profit. So, so there's
Wow.
definitely money to be made out there with land.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, that's really cool. It's hard for anybody listening to know, is this like the ultimate shiny object, or is
Yeah.
it a smart pivot with your business? You know, when you already have like something running that's like working in single family houses, but if you want to chase a pretty good looking shiny object, that certainly seems like a good direction to go in.
No, I've chased shiny objects before. It's one of those things that, if you got something that's working for you, no reason to recreate the wheel, but maybe it's something that you start, at least dabbling in, seeing if it fits with what you might be good at and what you might excel at. And I mean, the big thing is you got to learn how to evaluating land is a lot different than evaluating a single family home for a split. You know, comps are very easy, and a lot of these single family homes are at least a lot easier. So understanding what these properties are worth on the resale side is really a key to kind of unlocking a lot of things. Understanding what things that you should be researching, on a property when you're buying it,
Yeah, it makes sense 100%. Because the thing is, when people, in land, it seems like people generally are buying and then selling, versus in real estate, usually,
Yeah.
like with traditional single family houses, the entry point is the wholesale. The good news of the wholesale being,
Yeah.
if you're wrong about what it's worth, it can only be so bad. But that's not,
Yeah.
that doesn't apply to land too. You kind of got to know
Yeah.
your numbers because you're risking something. I've got to ask too, with especially since you've grown your business so quickly over the past few years. This year, you're planning on 20 million revenue. I think that means you're going to have about 20 million that you put into land. What do you like? What's your thing when it comes to financing? Have you found some way to work with banks? Do you raise private money? Like, what's the strategy, and what do you find a lot of people do in the industry?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a great question. The money side of things is definitely something to figure out, in this land investing space. There aren't just easy options for the hard money, unless you're, maybe experienced and have a track record built out, then there's maybe some options that'll open up for you. But for the most part, most investors, when they're getting into this, they've got the option of buying it themselves, all cash, or, you know, I guess there's options to getting, friends and family money, or getting a loan or something like that, from a HELOC or something like that, or going the partner route where you're splitting the equity with the partner, that's then putting up the money. So there's a number of partner options out there. There's lots of deal partners and money out there for when you have a deal. So for me, I started out all cash. We had some money saved up from another business, so, but I didn't start at the scale I was at. I was able to kind of like snowball it and continue to let that roll and build it up. Now, about almost a year ago, I guess you could say, I started thinking, well, I really want to scale this as much as I can, and I don't want to hold back if I see like some deals that are bigger dollar deals and everything like that. So I started trying to um, put some feelers out there for some private lenders, and yeah, I got connected with some great people that are believe in what I do and my track record and everything, and basically on the larger deals. Um, the smaller deals I still do kind of fund with my own cash, but the larger deals I send them over a little write up about it, and I'm like, hey, do you want to lend on this property? And then yeah, then we just kind of do a private money deal, and it's just per property. So they send the money directly to title or the closing company. We do a mortgage or note, and then all the paperwork directly for that property, and then they get a decent interest rate, and then they get paid off when the property resell.
Cool. What's a decent interest rate?
Yeah, so it's like 12%, and then a couple points as well. So a couple points up front we get them as well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Cool.
so
Yeah, sounds like a fantastic business. Although it's hard to not build up enough cash to do a lot of the deals yourself.
yeah,
If you really can, like, get out of the deals double what you put into them.
yes,
And you really are pushing that 10x return on your marketing.
yeah. It's crazy how it's
Hard to
snowballs
not
in a
work
great
out.
way.
Yeah.
So we're at the point even when we're winning deals with partners and everything, it's still a great return on a lot of cases, especially if we can move the property fast. So, um, so yeah, not too bad.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool, Reese. Or I was about to Reese Pete.
I go by either.
So yeah, fair enough. Um, Anything else I should have asked you that I didn't?
That's a good question. You didn't ask me about my dog. No, I'm just joking. No, I don't know. I don't. Uh, Nothing I can think of, I guess.
It's wild. I think to you everything's so simple.
I'm a little complicated person. I try to keep things very. I get into trouble when I think about too many of the details. So
Yeah, I mean, it's fully respectable, and I think it's something that a lot of very intelligent people do because they just see the most important aspects of like the moving parts and the moving parts of the system. So that's pretty cool. I'm grateful for what I've learned today about about the land investing business, and it's cool to hear it's been good to you. For anybody that's interested in the shiny object, where do they go?
a couple different places. First of all, I'd love it if you checked out the community. You can find that by just going to school.com/land conquest. And also got a podcast, a weekly podcast that I do. It's called Turning Profit. And Brandon was actually just on there. We talked about a lot of the numbers on what kind of cost per lead and everything you're getting me on in the land space. And that's called the Turning Profit podcast. And you can find all the podcast platforms, but also on YouTube at Turning Profit. So those are the best places to check out all this stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That was a good episode. I think we talked for like an hour.
Yeah,
Just through like
goodbye.
all the numbers of how it works in your business, which I think is if anybody's considering a PPC campaign for land is a pretty good place to start, for sure. Just so you get some idea, like some data point of what can be expected.
Yeah. By the way, we closed
Based on
on
what
6
they
more properties since we recorded that about a week and a half ago or something.
6 more for
6 more pay-per-click ones, yeah. So,
Yeah,
so they were
that's
under
wild.
contract to buy, but we hadn't closed on them. So, yeah,
Yeah, because I remember when we did record that, we had a lot of contracts floating.
yeah,
And also you guys had improved your processes quite a bit during the
yeah,
times that we worked together. So it's been kind of like it felt like when we started working together, maybe we were spinning the wheels for just a little bit there, and the car kind of took off, and it's taken off pretty good.
yeah.
And it started ticking off. You still got to wait a minute for the revenue to come full circle, but
Yeah, and then when
it's cool.
after we buy that school and resell that one, that'll be a pretty good one. Yeah. We'll see about that.
Don't tell me you're buying the school, Pete.
No, my wife would kill me if I bought a school.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, thank you for the time and
Thank you, Brandon.
listening to this podcast episode. To everybody else listening, I'll see you next week.